What is self-care exactly? Self-care is the appropriate and timely response to one's own needs. Self-care, appropriate and timely response to one's own needs. Needs can be physical, emotional, mental, and so many things. But notice the key, it has two components, appropriate and timely response. If one of those is missing, it's not self-care, right? So if that's the definition of self-care, it means that self-care is ongoing. It's the constant process, moment by moment, day by day. It's an ongoing assessment of self and what the self needs, correct? Also, it's worth noting that there are different levels of self-care, right? What you can do in a day, realistically speaking, what you can get done in a day is not going to be the same as what you can do or plan for in a month, okay? What you can do in a day, realistically speaking, when you're running around, going to work, have obligations, running errands, face responsibilities, is not the same as what you can do realistically. Okay, realistically, it's not going to be the same as what you can do when you're on vacation and have the whole day to spend on one thing, resting. Okay, so it's really important when looking at self-care and when planning for it, you have realistic expectations of yourself. It's easy to get bogged down and think, oh, can't get anything done, can't meet my own needs. Well, maybe, but what is the context? Okay, let's take a look at the context. Is the context that you had a 12-hour shift that day? Is that the context? And all you could do, you woke up, had a little your regular routine, whatnot, and then when you came back, you had a bubble bath or something like that, or you uh, thought about your day, or you just had a mini massage, nothing crazy, but that's all you were able to fit into your day after the 12-hour shift. If that's what you could do, you're not going to compare that to, something like what you would be able to do on a vacation week where you spend 5 hours at the spa. That's not realistic, right? You can't compare those two. So that's very important. What makes someone, what makes a person good at self-care or not, and there are many, many reasons, but one aspect is their ability to be deliberate, their ability to be intentional, and having a meticulous approach to self-care. It's not something that they're winging. It's not something that they're just kind of like hoping for the best. Okay, as we know, hoping for the best when it comes to self-care, especially in this community, in this society that we live in this day and age, hoping for the best in the area of self-care, it's not gonna happen. It's not. It's not. Okay, we don't live in a society that promotes rest and restoration. I mean, let's be honest. That's not, you don't, when you go out into the world and encounter different messages and propagandas and things like that, you're not running into things that promote rest and restoration. Okay, what they promote is work, hustle, labor, grind. That's the messaging. That's the dominant message that we have in our society today. And that's what that's nice, for a second, but if that's the constant messaging day in and day out, I mean, people are bound to burn out, which is why it's extra important to be mindful and planful about your self-care. Again, going back to the definition, how do you plan? Not just will you meet, how do you plan to meet your own needs? It needs to be planned. Yes, people are going to say, oh, you're calculated. Oh, you're too, type A. Well, I'd rather be type A than burn out. Okay? I'd rather be that. Okay? Oh, you're too calculated. You're too strict. Yep. I'd rather be strict. Okay? And meticulous and deliberate about how I'm going to take care of myself in a world that says don't, basically. I mean, let's be honest. Basically, it says don't. It says burn out, grind, work yourself to the ground, we'll bury you. Maybe. With dignity, maybe. Okay? I'd rather do that. Or be that. You can call me all types of names. But self-care is a priority, right? Or it is to many people, but when you find yourself immersed into the world and just kind of like sucked in and sucked dry day in and day out, you can get lost sometimes. You can forget about, I mean, you can just lose yourself altogether in the daily hustle and grind, which is why it's important to go back to basics and really do this constant assessment of self, assessment of your own personal needs, and respond accordingly, right? Know your priorities. Know your priorities. Okay? Because what we know for sure is that no one in society, no in the world is gonna come to you and say, hey, you look like you're tired. Let me do this for you. Let me do that for you. Why don't you take a break? Why don't you take the day off? No one is gonna say that for you. Okay? It's you. You need to be the one to make those calls. Okay? You need to be the one to say, hey, you know what? That's enough for today. Let's stop there. Okay? You're not going to find people in the real world looking out for you this much. You need to be the one to step up. And eventually maybe if you have decent people in your life, in your immediate circle, and they pick up on your energy, your vibration, your priorities, and kind of what you deem important, they will come on board potentially and just and push that agenda, help you push that agenda forward. But initially, you need to be the one to drive the bus. And if you have help down the road, great, awesome, but you're not relying on it. You know your priorities. So self-care definition again, appropriate and timely response to one's own needs. Now, let me give you an example. So if you have kind of like what does this look like when we say appropriate and timely response? If you have a baby, for example, it doesn't have to be your baby, but just a baby that is in your care, and you need to take care of that baby. The baby is crying nonstop. Okay, and you hear that, and the baby doesn't it's not stopping, right? Still crying. You get up. Okay, the baby is crying because he's hungry. Okay, you get up and you change his diaper. It's like, okay, that's nice. That's a nice gesture, but sorry to say, but you missed the mark, right? Because the baby is hungry, and the action that you took is, well, inappropriate because the baby is hungry. You changed the diaper. That's not the appropriate response to a hungry baby. And that's a nice gesture, but it doesn't get the job done. So that's one. B, you waited a long time. So the response was a little bit delayed, right? So that's what we mean by that. So, and vice versa, it could work the other way around too. Let's say the baby is crying because he has a soiled diaper, and then you go and try to feed him after 30 minutes of crying. He's been crying for 30 minutes to an hour, and then you go and say, "Hey, get some food. Like, here's some food." You also would have missed the mark then as well, right? So take heed, okay, of letting yourself be run to the ground in a society that does not care about you. I mean, let's be honest. They don't care, okay? You need to step up and you need to claim yourself as a priority, okay? Yes, you're going to work. Yes, you're going to get things done in the world and contribute, okay? But there is it's not just like at any cost, right? Not at the cost of your health and your well-being. Then there are boundaries, there are limits. Okay, at some point you need to call the shots and just say, hey, you know what? Enough for today. I need to go and do something else. Okay, I need to shift gears. And also, moment by moment, even if you are kind of like on the clock or whatnot, or doing your running around, being mindful, intentional, and deliberate about your assessment of self and um, responding to your own needs accordingly. Yeah. So that's the message for today. Hopefully, you'll find that helpful. Hope it reaches someone.